So now that we got our continuous integration and continuous deployment working, we're going to have a look at the authentication scheme for an embedded app within Microsoft Teams. So this is an authentication schema, and it might look a little bit intimidating in the beginning, but it really is not that difficult. So we're going to start at the starting point, which is this gray area. It's index.js as usual. And within index.js, we're going to check whether in the local storage or wherever you save your tokens has a user or login token. If that is true, it continues all the way to app.js. It has a token, so it continues with the application. This is what we call the silent login, and it has like the yellow path on this image. If it doesn't have a user or a token, then it wants to go to login-start.js, and we do that via routing in app.js. So once it gets there, it's going to open a pop-up, and in the pop-up we have the login screen from Microsoft. You have to attempt to log in, so you have to enter your username and your password, and sometimes you have a two-way authentication. No problem. So if there's a login and it's not successful, you just get an error, and you're going to do this loop all the time, all the way until you get like a successful login. If you have a successful login, it's going to look for login-end.js, and that's also going to happen via app.js, and that one will return a login hash, which is basically your token. If that one can be found, it's successful, and it will go to app.js and continue after that because you have a token. Now, it might happen that when you go to login-start.js, it actually wants to go there, but the page is blocked because you might use a pop-up blocker, or sometimes if you have not allowed an application to initiate pop-ups for the first time, it might block it. So in that case, we'll show a button, and once the user clicks that button, it still opens the login-start.js. And this works because it's not initiated automatically. And by doing so, if the user clicks it, then the browser will always allow the pop-up to start. So even though it might look like it's a little bit convoluted, it actually is not really that hard. You might want to keep this scheme open if you're developing it, or if you're trying to develop it by yourself, because it does give you a good introduction about what's going on. So in the next lecture, we're going to clean up our Create React App application a little bit, and after that we're finally going to start coding the application. So see you in the next section.